Country, I think it was VHS, whatever, the title will be up somewhere in the bottom right or corner. Anyway, so how this one goes is our protagonist, I hate using the phrase our protagonist, but our protagonist says he was searching OMG Facts one day, and he finds this article about the River Country amusement park at Walt Disney World, and how it was closed in the early 2000s for reasons that are not yet specified. I think in real life it had something to do with the water was unsafe, but anyway, so he gets curious, and then like he says in the first line, or he says in one line, I looked on omgfacts.com, and then the next line later he says, I was without internet at the time. Sorry, I find that funny. And so he claims he was without internet, so he had no way of finding out about the place. How he found out about it in the first place, I'm not sure, seeing how he was without internet. But he decides to go to his library, and apparently his library was doing some sort of archive of family videos, where families would just donate their family videos for some sort of historical purpose. And he managed to search the archives, and he found a VHS tape about River Country. And so he went to the librarians, guided him to a room that had a VHS player, and he puts the tape in, and it's basically depicts two guys who, one of them, guy number one and guy number two, I'm adding these names, guy number two is holding the camera, and it's implied that they broke into the place after it closed down and are running around legally, but they decide to go up the slide, and the guy not holding the camera goes down the slide first, while the guy with the camera stands at the top, and you hear a splash, but the guy holding the camera keeps calling out to the guy who went down the slide, and he never hears a reply. So he gets down from the slide, and then he sees him emerge from the water, and his flesh is like melted away, and he's deformed, and part of his bone marrow is exposed, and and this is where it just makes absolutely no sense, because the guy with the camera starts running away, the deformed person chases after him, and the last shot, the video stops on the face of the deformed person, and then text appears at the bottom of the screen that says, "The infection begins today," or something of that manner. And the protagonist is horrified by this. Then the VHS tape just stops, and then as he describes, the lights go out, the door locks, and he just feels a breathing over his shoulder, and it smells of like infected water. It's just like, wow, this is like a very layered turd. This is like just there's so many layers to just how this story makes no sense. The first thing is that first off, some of the more obscure questions. Who edited the tape? Because the tape just stops on the deformed person's face. I mean, maybe maybe that's just when the stop button was hit on the tape, or maybe that's when the person holding the camera stopped it, whether intentionally or not. Second, who recovered the tape? Like, it's implied that the guy holding the camera probably died. So who recovered it? And who put the text, "The infection begins today"? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Who put the text there? Who edited the video? Who donated it to the library? Did the library view it first? Do they have any idea what they're holding? Like, I couldn't imagine they actually watched it. And then it just goes from, I don't even know what the genre is. Like, it first seems like it's going to be it seems like it's going to start out as a not a lost episode, but like found footage, and that perhaps there's some sort of, what I'm trying to get at basically is, all of a sudden a mystical element is introduced, like the doors lock on their own, or the VHS player just shuts off, and then suddenly there's someone in the room with him all of a sudden that is deformed. So, like, I mean, again, like, it's really hard to get a context for the story because you don't really know what realm of reality exists in. Like, is, like, all of a sudden you're introducing this, like, mystic element to it. And first, like, the text that says, the infection begins today, like, this story, if I'm correct, and I could be wrong, I think it was published in 2008, and the place closed down, I think it was 2001. Again, I'll clarify in the subtitles that will appear in this video. Anyway, and again, in real world time, there has been no infection of this magnitude that they're talking about, and is it implied that it begins today? Like, literally, there's some sort of entity that has literally put the text there informing the protagonist that there's an infection beginning today, and it's happening around. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand at all what they were trying to do, what the writer was trying to do, and it just comes off silly. Alright, so we're going to go quickly to some of the footage I managed to recover, which was me deconstructing the Candle Cove creepypasta that I'm talking about. You know, for the past couple of selections, I've been able to just get away with doing a summary of the pasta, but for this one, we're going to need to do this one word for word. If you think about it, there are some things in this world that aren't meant to be scary, but most often, they are. Take Candle Cove, for instance. The guy who created the show seemed like he was trying to make an innocent enough children's show. Creepy, but innocent. No, I think a guy who created a show about a skeleton who skins children alive and then sews their skin into his coat was meant to be scary. I have a bit of a history with that damn show. Here it is. June 24th, 2010. I'm trying to find out more about Candle Cove. I know it exists because I watched the first, 3 episodes, but got bored after the 5th one. I heard that it was getting a new season, and I remembered the show. I remembered it as The Pirate Show, and my parents thought it was weird that I would stay up until 5 in the morning, waiting for nothing but static to come on. I didn't know if they were messing with me or not, because Candle Cove is definitely not static. It's something more than that. Something terrible. June 25th, 2010. After writing the first entry, I decided to dig up some news about Candle Cove. Possibly even find episodes. I was on the internet at about 12 o'clock at midnight when I received a text message from someone with a name like this, 0100110. The message said, when decoded from binary to text, "Meet me." Meet me? What did he mean by meet me? Was I supposed to meet whoever that was, somehow, somewhere? I don't know. Spoiler! This message is never referenced ever again. June 26, 2010. I found an episode of Candle Cove. It was from season 1, and it was at least the 5th episode. It's funny because I don't remember ever seeing something like this. The episode I saw depicted it being Janice's birthday, and the pirates and the Skin Taker and the rest of the characters sang happy birthday. And then Skin Taker broke off into a weird song which I assumed to be called 1 Year Closer. When he finished the song, all the puppets kind of stared at the camera, their eyes glassy. Then out of nowhere, skeletons came out. Yeah, you 4chan fans, you can literally say skeletons popped out. Hilarious. The scary thing about it was that the skeletons kept grabbing near Janice's breast area and touching her butt. June 27, 2010. I contacted someone I met over the internet who apparently watched Candle Cove when it was on TV. He told me to come to his house and interview him. At first I was wary, but then I realized this was Candle Cove we were going to talk about. When I got there, I noticed his house was immaculate, but that was mostly because he had nothing but a TV and a bed in the house. It looked like he didn't have any food in his house either. When I was asking him questions, he kept staring off into space, and it took me seconds, sometimes even minutes, to get him to come back to Earth and keep talking to me. When I brought up the skin taker, he just screamed and fell over unconscious. I tapped him, but it seemed as if he wouldn't wake up for hours. After that, this might sound creepy, but I'm doing anything to find anything about Candle Cove. I went upstairs and searched his room for anything that has absolutely anything to do with that damn show. I found concept art, but it was signed. I could barely even tell what it was. There was also a note that I will read that's from the guy who lived across the street from me when I was younger. Wait a sec. You found a note from your neighbor in some random guy's house that you found on the internet. You know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Please explain. Who I will describe better in that next century, but for now I need some rest. June 30th, 2010. Wow. I slept for nearly 4 days. Okay. I don't ever remember doing that, ever. I remember some dreams that I had during the 4-day sleep period thingy thing. Skin Taker was chasing me down a long, dark hallway as other villains from the show came around corners. First there was Horace Horrible, then Milo, and then something terrible I thought I'd never see again. He was tall, and he was dressed like a normal man, but only he had no face and multiple appendages. We've heard this over. Oh wait, this is Candle Cove we're ruining. He was decaying, terrible, and I could literally smell his terrible, burning flesh as he stumbled around the corner. The man was some strange old guy who lived on the street when I was about 10, who would sometimes go onto my lawn when my parents weren't home and stare in through my window. I remember his house burning down about 2 years later when I was home alone. Apparently it was suicide. I don't want to know what made him burn his house down, but I feel I must. I'm going to his house tomorrow to look for clues. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Here is that note I found at the man's house. Dear Lucille, I don't know how much longer I can take this. The nightmares are becoming more frequent, more disturbing. Most of them are of him, but all of them have the same picture of that kid who lives across from me with his eyes gouged out. If only there was a way I could warn him about the damned Candle Cove show before it's too late. Sincerely, Bill. June 31st, 2010. What I saw in that house will most likely make me not able to sleep for days, maybe even years. Well, no need for that. You somehow slept for 4 days. The house was nothing but a patch of dirt now. But knowing better, I dug into the dirt, and soon I hit something. The material scraped against my fingernails as I took the packed dirt off the top of it. It was a note. It reads, Percy was a pirate. He was the greatest one around. Percy was a pirate. He never wore a frown. Until one day Mr. Skin Taker came to town and took all the other children down to his workshop, where he would chop and sew skin to his new cape, always looking for new children to rape. This is getting disturbing. Okay. I could go over how rape is a very easy gimmick to use in horror because it already resonates with a lot of people and does not require the author to put much effort or description to the story because rape by default will always be disturbing. But why don't I point out something more obvious? Candle Cove is a fictional TV show about a skeleton who skins children alive and sews their skin into his cape.
You do not need to introduce rape to make this disturbing. If anything, it just feels tacked on.
June 1st, 2010. I'm regretting getting involved in this. Every time I go home from school, I swear I can hear the screams of those poor children, their skin ripping and their flesh being taken off, their bones and stuck onto the skeleton man's cape. I am ending this for now, and I thank everyone who helped me for the help.
Helped me for the help?
I don't know what I'll do after this. Maybe I'll destroy the notebook.
Or I could post it on the wiki.
But one thing is for sure, I'll never search for that damn show at all, ever again. In closing, I just wanted to say that when I did this list, I never wanted to discourage people from writing pastas. I never wanted to make it seem like I was enraged that these pastas exist. I mean, it's kind of funny poking fun at them. But really what I want to point out is I love the creative process, and yes, you get bad stories as a result, and there's a lot of just mediocre ones. I'd rather have really bad stories and really good stories than just the wave of mediocre ones that there are. But a lot of people can't stand creepypastas, but I've always been optimistic about them because I really do. They're stories that could not really exist elsewhere. I mean, for example, the only one I can think of is Pen Pal got, published into a novel, but some of these stories just don't work anywhere else. Like, there have just been really good gems that have come about, and stories that I will defend are really well written, and it only comes about because people have complete freedom to write about whatever they want. They don't have to worry about publishers or whether it's going to maintain to a mainstream audience. It's just a giant wall where people can throw stuff at and see what sticks. And so what I want to say, I've even written stories, and you know what, they're probably not really well written. They're probably pretty bad. But I just keep doing them anyway. And I don't want to stand up here and claim that your story is awful, and well, I am saying that, but that I don't want to discourage people from writing these. I really do enjoy the process. And even if you write a story and it's not that good, oh well, you tried, and it's a good process, and I don't want to discourage anyone from writing pastas. It's a genre I do actually really enjoy experiencing. So I apologize about the wait. I have a lot of great stuff I'm working on. I hope next year, my senior year, will be much more manageable than last year, and I'll be able to come out with content regularly. And I really want to do this. This is something I really enjoy. I really want to keep doing this, and I'd be happy if you kept watching. So, take care.